This is the story of the man who discovered the lost city of Troy, and in his obsession, destroyed it with his own hands. Heinrich Schliemann was a self-made millionaire. He'd built a fortune in trade and war, and by 36, he was rich enough to chase one impossible dream. By his own telling, it began in childhood. A picture of Troy in flames, and a boy's vow to find it. He believed Homer's Iliad wasn't myth, but history, that the Trojan War truly happened, and the golden city of Troy still waited to be found. The world's scholars mocked him. To them, Troy was a fairy tale, no more real than the gods in the poem, but Schliemann was certain they were wrong. Schliemann didn't find Troy alone. In 1868, he met a quiet British archaeologist named Frank Calvert, a man who had already found the hill. Calvert owned half the hill. For years he'd dug there, convinced it was Troy, but he'd run out of money. So he shared everything he knew with Schliemann. It was the gift of a lifetime, and Schliemann took it. When he later announced his discovery to the world, he erased Calvert from the story entirely. Calvert lived out his years in near obscurity, watching another man take the credit for the discovery he had made. In 1870, the digging began, but Schliemann was no careful scholar. He was a treasure hunter in a hurry, and he attacked the hill like a man possessed. He tore at the hill with pickaxes, crowbars, even explosives, shattering walls that had stood 3,000 years. He ordered a gigantic trench cut straight down through the mound, slicing through layer after layer of history to reach the bottom as fast as he could. What he didn't understand was that this hill wasn't one city. It was nine Troys built and destroyed on top of each other across 3,000 years. Then, in 1873, near the bottom, it happened. Gold. A dazzling hoard of jewels, diadems, and ornaments, a king's treasure, buried for millennia. Schliemann was ecstatic. He named it the treasure of Priam, king of Troy. He draped the golden jewels on his young wife and called her his Helen. He smuggled the treasure out of the country and paraded it before the world. Overnight, Heinrich Schliemann became the most famous archaeologist alive. But there was a problem. The gold was real, but far too old. It belonged to a city that died more than 1,000 years before the Trojan War ever happened. Schliemann had dug too deep. In his desperate rush to the bottom, he'd blasted straight through the real Troy, the actual city of Homer's war, without ever noticing. For the city of Homer had lain just above the gold. In the upper layers he'd thrown away as worthless. The layers he'd torn apart as worthless rubble were the very ones he'd crossed the world to find. He had destroyed his own dream to reach it. Today, he's remembered as both a father of modern archaeology and one of its greatest destroyers. The man who proved Troy was real and erased the proof forever. He spent his whole life chasing a myth, and when he finally caught it, he tore it apart in his hands.